Welcome to Perfect-ish, where it's not about having perfect time management, but about perfecting your relationship with time. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and every week we'll talk all things time and how to maximize it without burnout or guilt. Whether we're chatting with an expert or I'm sharing my 20 years of time management experience, you'll learn simple strategies to make every moment count. Here, it's all about getting close to perfect-ish. So let's synchronize our watches and dive in. Hi, friend. Recently, my pastor had a sermon called Human and Holy. He was talking about one of my favorite Bible characters, Elijah. I just really like that guy. He was definitely used by God. He was also definitely just like you and me. He had a lot of ups and downs and all arounds. I guess that's why he named that sermon series Human and Holy, a little bit of both. But one passage in particular stands out to me and always has, and it's in 1 Kings. And Elijah is feeling exhausted. Elijah is feeling like he's fearing for his life. And he heads into the desert and he sits under a little broom tree and he asks God to die. A little bit dramatic. Maybe that's why I like him just a little bit. Have you ever just been like, oh, just kill me now. Just let me sit here and die. I'm exhausted. I can't do it anymore. And what did God do? Well, first of all, God didn't shame him. Second of all, God didn't say, well, finished a few more things on your to-do list. You're almost there. You're almost done. Keep pushing through. No, God sent an angel with some food and some drink, and he told Elijah to take a nap. So, there's a lot to be said for a snack, something to sip on, and some rest. And Elijah does do that. So Elijah obeys God. I just wish somebody would come up to me and say, Callie, sit down, take a nap. Here's some cookies and here's a poppy. And then interestingly, after that, Elijah got up and I think he walked 40 days. He walked 40 days into Mount Horeb because he was strengthened by it. Now that's pretty impressive. But as I was thinking about that story and as I was listening to it, and I thought, I need that rest. And as much as I do, and as much as you might, do you know what my second thought was? I don't have time for rest. Or when I do rest, I feel dun 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 guilty. And I have to say that as we've been working through the Perfect-ish method with the women that are doing it, with the community, going through these courses, I will say that one of the common threads that I am seeing, that I'm hearing, that they're expressing, that they're sharing, it's coming up again and again and again, is that 5-letter word. It's a little word, but wow, does it carry a lot of weight with it? It's guilt. It's that heavy, nagging guilt that shows up when we're trying to rest, or we're thinking about resting, or we're sitting down for 5 minutes, or when we compare ourselves to others, or when we feel like we're not doing enough. Does that sound familiar? Raise your hand if so. And full disclosure, I have both hands in my ear. So as I've been hearing a lot about this from many of you, that guilt when it comes to that rest, that guilt trap. Maybe it's about taking a Saturday morning and sleeping in. My neighbor and I have this conversation. It's like she's got a toddler and a middle schooler, and she says, this Saturday morning, she could either get so much done or she could catch up on some sleep, and she feels guilty when she catches up on some sleep. Maybe it's guilt about watching a show or Netflix instead of organizing your closet or doing another task. Maybe it's guilt about not being as productive as that person on social media who has it all together. Now, I'm not going to tell you how many takes that it took and a team that she has behind her. No, I'm not going to tell you that part. We all know the underside of it, right? The underbelly of it. But what we want to do is we want to unpack where that guilt comes from, specifically when it comes to the rest or the recreation, and why it's actually sabotaging our progress towards the life that we really do want, that perfect-ish life that we really do want. And I'm going to share the number one unexpected thing that you can do to start releasing yourself from this guilt trap. It is not what you think. It's not. And then I will give you some practical things as well. So let's start first by by really naming what we're dealing with here. And what I have found is there's 4 main types of guilt that I'm seeing as we're going through the perfectist method and in our community. The first kind of guilt that I'm seeing is the not enough guilt. All right, so you can jot these down, you can write these down, you can say, amen out loud, you can message me if you want to. The not enough guilt is the voice that says you should be doing more, achieving more, crossing more off your to-do list. It's the guilt that makes you feel lazy for taking breaks. Anybody ever experienced that one? Okay. The second one is the rest and recreation guilt. This is when you literally cannot enjoy downtime because you feel like you should be productive. Oh, I am stepping on all 10 of my toes today. You can't watch a movie without folding laundry. Oh, you can't take a bath without feeling like you're wasting time. And by the way, many of us are married to the opposite person. Just going to throw that out there. And they may not get it, right? And I will say some of you may have the ability to do that. Well, you probably are married or have a best friend that can't and that doesn't and that it's really challenging for. So I want you to have a little grace on them and maybe understand them just a little bit better. The third kind of guilt is comparison guilt. This hits when you are seeing somebody else do more, have more, be more organized, be more successful, be more put together. And suddenly your life, perfectly fine life, feels insufficient. And the fourth kind of guilt is perfectionism guilt. This is the guilt that comes from not meeting probably impossibly high standards that you've set for yourself. The house isn't Pinterest perfect, the project isn't flawless. So you feel like a failure. And here is what is wild, and I know you can all relate to this. These types of guilt often create a vicious cycle. So it's not just the guilt itself, it's what happens with the guilt. We feel guilty about resting, so we push ourselves harder, which leads to burnout, which makes us less productive, which creates more guilt. Oh, it is exhausting. If you're exhausted, I invite you to sit down under a broom tree with me. I don't have a snack or something to sip on, or I can't make you take a nap. But what I can do is I can help you to understand that this guilt isn't helping us to become better. It's not helping us achieve our goals. And now that I've said it out loud and you're hearing it out loud, sometimes we have to shine a light on it. You're probably realizing, wow, it is doing the exact opposite. It is not helping me. It is not a motivator. It is not giving me this negative push in the right direction. It's really, it's really in essence what Elijah was saying. I'm exhausted and I'm fearing for my life. So, how does this guilt get into our lives? How does this originate? Where does this come from? And I think this is important to understand because we can't heal if we don't first understand the root of it. And I think first of all, it's our culture. It's what's coming from our culture and our programming. And our culture glorifies busy. We wear that like a badge of honor. You've heard that busy badge, right? We wear it, we bling it out. We accessorize it. The I'm so busy. I mean, it almost has become an automatic response. If you ask somebody how they are, they're busy. It's maybe even a status symbol. And we've internalized this message so that our worth equals our productivity. And when I say we, I want you to know I am literally preaching to myself today, which I think is a really healthy thing to do. So again, somebody says, "How are you? How are you? I'm busy. How are you?" And we condition ourselves that rest is lazy and that downtime is wasted time. Now, let me also be clear. I am a girl that loves efficiency and I love productivity. So, because I love that, I need to also understand that part of that is going to include margin and rest and downtime. So, I need to understand that if I am wired that way, the best thing that I can do is incorporate some of this because then I can win more. I can be more efficient. I can be more productive at the end of the day. The second place that this guilt comes from is social media. I am so glad neither one of my teenagers is on social media, and I want to keep them from it as long as possible. I take that back. My son we just turned his Instagram from private to public, but it is just his soccer reels. We're going to get that kid into soccer, to play soccer in college. Coaches, if you're listening, He's 6'2", he's a goalkeeper, class of 2027. Okay. But other than that, I want to keep that from them as long as possible because we're just seeing a highlight reel of other people's lives. I said earlier, how many takes do you think it took? How many pictures did they have, selfies did they have to take? How long did they have to get that perfectly organized pantry? It probably took all day to do it. Or the woman who meal preps while running a business and homeschooling 3 kids, she probably has a social media manager that's helping her. We're comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. And of course, we're falling short. We will every single time. And then there's a dopamine hit that we get when we see it that immediately creates the opposite effect. So we want the dopamine hit again. So we keep going back and back and back, and we make ourselves feel worse and worse and worse. Third, I would say there's a childhood messaging. And maybe you grew up, maybe it's old school that idol's hands are the devil's workshop. That's an old one. You remember that one? Or there's always something that needs to be done. And again, I have to be careful of this with my kids because I am a task person. I see an open Saturday. I think, well, great. How much can we get accomplished? Now, are there things that we could accomplish over the weekend? Yes. But can honoring rest be one of the things on the list? Yes. So for some of us, I know maybe love or approval came through achievement and productivity. Maybe not even intentionally, but that's what the message was that you heard. And those messages run deep. And then fourth could be the scarcity mindset. A lot of times we operate from the belief that there's never enough time. Right? I say that all the time. People think if I just had more time, there's never enough hours. When time feels scarce, then every moment resting feels like we're stealing that from something more important. And then lastly is the myth of control. We think if we just work harder, plan better, optimize more, we control our outcomes, and rest feels risky because it means we're loosening our grip on that control. So the truth is, it's not serving us. It's not making us more productive. It's not making us more successful. It's definitely not making us happier. It's just making us tired. So I said that I was going to give you an unexpected solution. And I thought about this and I thought, all right, I'm going to give some practical steps. And I will because I'm a practical step kind of girl. But then I took a step back because, again, this message is written for Callie Brigham. Let me tell you, it is written for me. So I thought, all right, let me think, what is the actual answer? And when I thought of the actual answer, it surprised me. It's probably going to surprise you because when I work with clients around the guilt about rest and time, which is so common, the number one thing that seems to create the breakthrough, it's not what we expect. And it's not actually another system. It's not a productivity hack. It's not boundary setting, although all of those things I'm a huge fan of. They all can help. The number one thing that releases the guilt is gratitude. Yeah, gratitude for your current capacity. So stick with me here for a second because it might sound too simple. Don't tune me out because I really believe it's the revolutionary answer. Because if most of our guilt comes from focusing on what we're not doing, what we haven't achieved, what we don't have, we're constantly measuring ourselves against an imaginary standard of enough that keeps moving further away. It's like Charlie Brown with kicking the football, right? We keep going for it and she keeps moving it. We're going to kick it this time. We're going to kick it this time. And it keeps getting moved. The goalpost keeps getting moved. The ball keeps getting moved. Everything keeps getting moved. So let's kick it into reverse. What if instead we started acknowledging what we are doing, what we have accomplished, what our bodies and minds have already given us today? So here's how this works practically. You can start to track your wins, not just your to-dos. And I say not just your to-dos because I understand us. I get us. If I say, start tracking your wins, not your to-dos, immediately, no, we're done, right? We're achievers. We're high achievers. But you can do both. You can start tracking your wins, not just your to-dos. So at the end of the day, what are 3 things you accomplished? Not just the big stuff, but I made dinner. I fed my family today. Or, I was in a hurry, but a friend needed me and I actually listened. Or I did choose to rest when needed. I just was on a friend's podcast, it'll air in a couple of weeks, and we talked about naps. We talked about, I mean, we joked and I said, I've slept my way to the top. And especially I started taking naps when the kids were little, and I would do the nap first. So they would have nap time, and what I was wired to do was, well, let me work as long as I can during nap time, and then at the last 10 or 15 minutes, I'll lay down for a quick power nap. And I realized that was reversing what I needed to do. I actually took the power nap first. 15, 20 minutes. I got into bed. I'm not a good couch napper. So turn the lights off. I actually have a second. Oh gosh, this is so funny. I have a second pillowcase that I just lay flat over my pillowcase so I don't get makeup on my pillowcase if I have makeup on. And I turn off the lights, I turn the fan on, I turn my phone on, do not disturb. Turn the noise on and take a 15, 20-minute nap. And that could be a win for the day. And I actually have a client, and she and her husband share their wins at the end of every day, not their to-do list, their wins. The next part of this, how it can work practically, is practice capacity gratitude. Your body showed up today. Your mind solved problems today. Your heart felt things. That's incredible. That's what I'm talking about with capacity. Your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, your spirit. And when we start appreciating what we're already bringing to the table, the guilt about not bringing more starts to lessen. The next thing we can do is reframe rest. I mentioned this earlier as an investment, not laziness. That's what I started to think about that power nap. It was my investment for the rest of the day. So it's not taking things away from your productivity. It's not stealing time away. It's ensuring that you have the energy to pursue them sustainably. And then lastly, celebrate your choice. Celebrate that you're going to stop this guilt cycle. And it's probably going to take every single day that you do it. Because every time you choose rest without guilt, you're breaking that pattern. And it takes courage. And I acknowledge that in you. It is not going to come easy. Most patterns and cycles don't break easily, but they break with intention and they break with consistency. So here's what I want you to understand. You're not behind, you're not lazy, you're not failing. You are human and holy, doing human things in a world that feels like it's demanding superhuman things. So I do want to leave you a couple practical steps to wrap this up because I know we want concrete things. So the first is a permission slip practice. You could put it on a post-it note. You could put this post-it note where you need to, on your laptop, on your mirror, on your fridge, on your car steering wheel, and you're literally going to write yourself a permission slip. I give myself permission to rest without earning it. I give myself permission to enjoy this break without guilt. I know it sounds silly, but it works because we are internally reprogramming ourselves. The second practical thing you could do is the good enough rule. When perfectionism guilt rears its ugly head, ask yourself, is this good enough to meet my need? Not perfect, not Instagram worthy. And if it's, you don't even have to post it. Although I will tell you this. Do you know what most people resonate the most to on social media? It's not the perfect. It's the good enough, or maybe even the messed up just a little bit. Most of the time, the answer is yes, it is good enough. And it was interesting too. Oftentimes, good enough creates so many great conversations with people, and it really opens the door to authenticity, which is attractive. And that is also, I think, spills over into so many other areas, and it really sets a new cycle for other people to have permission to. Your good enough could unlock somebody else's good enough. Your permission slip could unlock somebody else's permission slip. And then the third part, the practical part, is the comparison antidote, let's just say. So when you catch yourself comparing, immediately stop and name 3 things you're grateful for in your own life right now. And it's not being positive in a toxic way. It's redirecting your brain from scarcity to abundance. And I will say this too. This is going to be a little bit of a reversal as well. I remember reading years ago in a book called Wife School. I was, I don't know if I was a newlywed, but I read this book. It's written by a woman who lived in Memphis, and I read it. And in the very beginning, one of the things that she does is instead of having you write down all the things that you're thankful that your spouse is, she actually has you write down things that you're thankful that he is not. Maybe he spends a lot of time at home and maybe your best friend's husband is always gone. So you could say, "You know what? I'm thankful that he's not gone all the time." If that's something that matters to you. I'm thankful that he doesn't do this. I'm thankful that he's not that. I'm thankful that and so many times that flip on it, that little switch on it actually creates a whole new way for us to be grateful when it comes to comparison. So as we heal through this guilt, it's not going to be that you're never going to feel it again. Because, spoiler alert, you'll feel it again tomorrow. It's about recognizing it. When we talk about triggers, it's about recognizing it when it shows up, and we're going to choose. We're going to make a choice consistently to not let it drive our decisions. So, what I want you to take away from today, and what I want me to take away from today, is that my worth, your worth, our worth is not determined by our productivity. Productivity matters. It does, but it doesn't equal our worth. Our value doesn't come from how perfectly we manage our time or how much we accomplish. We are worthy. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of the joy. You are worthy of the life that feels sustainable and peaceful and not just productive. So the guilt you're feeling is not a character flaw. It's a symptom that we're living in a culture that taught us to value doing over being, but we get to choose differently. We get to have both. We get to do and we get to be. So I want you to challenge you. I'm going to challenge me this week to practice gratitude for our current capacity. Notice when the guilt shows up, and instead of fighting it, try thanking your body and your mind for what they've already given to you today. So if this resonates with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share it with somebody who might need to hear this message. And remember that, again, progress, not perfection. We're all figuring this out together. I'm figuring this out with you. All right. Thanks for listening today. We're going to be intentional today. We're going to be super intentional today about how to break free when we feel bad from rest. All right, let's give it a try together. God bless. Thanks for tuning in to the Perfect-ish Time Management Podcast. Let's keep the fun going. Follow me on social and join our Facebook community. And if you're ready for some one-on-one time management coaching to reach the top of your game without burnout or guilt, I'd love to chat. Book a free interest call using the link in the show notes or send me a DM. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend who's ready to master their time too. Remember, we're in this together, making real progress towards becoming perfect-ish.